The legislative body, just such as this, of a local agency will be open and public, and all persons shall be permitted to attend any meeting of the legislative body unless an exception applies. And that is under Government Code 54953. Who does the Brown Act cover? Covers legislative bodies such as this commission of a local public agency. A legislative body defined as any group created by ordinance, resolution, or formal action by the legislative body. And what is a meeting? A meeting occurs when a majority of the members of the legislative body are present at the same time, place to hear, discuss, or deliberate the business of the body. That's under Government Code 54952.2. A quorum for the purposes of the Mobile Home Rent Commission is 4, since we have 5 commissioners. We also have prohibited meetings. Prohibited meetings is when a majority of the body may not use telephone, fax, email, or intermediary, such as Instagram or Facebook, or any other method to discuss, deliberate, or take action outside a properly noticed meeting. So the overall takeaway from this is that everything needs to be public. A serial meeting is a series of individual communications that, taken together, involve a majority of the body, constitutes a prohibited serial meeting. So an example of this is if Commissioner Welker emails Commissioner Setterstrom, and then they have discussions, and then Commissioner Welker sends an email to Commissioner Johnston about the same matter. Taken as a whole, it could be considered if there's a proper quorum. So if all of you are involved in that discussion, even if it's by twos, like a Brown Act buddy, that's what I call it. So it would be considered a meeting. A course of action for something like this, so that you know not to enter into a serial meeting, is always check for a quorum before engaging, specifically on social media. So Instagram, as I mentioned, even the like, the heart, that is a communicative stance on whatever issue it is. So just be wary of that. Also, avoid interacting with each other's social media posts on topics. Avoid reply alls on messages sent. So if staff were to send you something regarding an issue to all of the commissioners on that same email, try not to, I know it happens sometimes, but try not to do the reply all. Acceptable communications and public access. Permitted communications are, of course, attorney-client communications, one-way staff communications to individual members, individual contacts with constituents, staff, or consultants. Public access requirements. Meetings must be held within the agency boundaries and at an ADA accessible location. Attendance sheets cannot be required as a condition of entry. Criticism of the agency cannot be prohibited. Public may record or broadcast proceedings if not disruptive. Public must have access to all backup materials. And what kind of meetings do we have? We have regular meetings, which is held on a normally scheduled date, such as the City Council, which is held on Tuesdays, I believe it's the 1st and 3rd, and then Planning Commission is held every other Tuesday after that. For the purposes of the Mobile Home Commission, since there isn't a set scheduled hearing time, we would consider the meetings to be a special meeting since it's a deliberation on a certain issue. Agendas and notice. Notice is essential to the public's ability to monitor and participate in government decisions. Posting requirements for regular meetings are 72 hours in advance. Special meetings are at least 24 hours in advance. Closed sessions, this commission does not really typically hold closed sessions. As the Brown Act strongly favors open public sessions, but for the purposes of this, it's usually related to employment issues or real property negotiations, things like that nature. Of course, there are enforcement things that happen if the Brown Act is not is violated. However, there are buffers involved before it gets to this point that the commission can cure at the next meeting. So it most likely does not go to this degree of enforcement of civil enforcement or cure demands. So some takeaways for the Brown Act. Members are representatives of the people entrusted to manage government affairs in an accessible and transparent way. The Brown Act exists for the benefit of the public, and failure to comply can result in legal penalties and public criticism. And again, if you would like a deeper dive, I'm happy to provide that one-on-one consultation with you. Just let me know. Thank you. Okay, and the next thing I wanted to cover is the overview of Ordinance 772. Just some key points that I wanted to review with the commission and to members of the public. We'll start with, and this is not in any particular order, Section 3 of the ordinance reads as, the ordinance applies to all rental mobile home parks located within the City of Hemet limits. Section 4, commission structure, 5 members appointed by the City Council, constituted as an as-needed basis. I would like to point out Section 4.6, a quorum is considered as 4 members that constitute a quorum, provided both the tenant member and owner member are present. 3 affirmative votes are required for any ruling or decision. Section 5.1 through 7, these are the commission powers. And the commission is empowered to meet upon request of the city manager or upon filing of a tenant petition. Number 2 is receive, investigate, hold hearings on, and rule upon tenant petitions. 3, conduct independent hearings and investigations. 4, adjust maximum rents upward or downward or to any sum in between. 5, adopt, amend, and rescind administrative rules. Maintain hearing files and dockets at City Hall. Assess costs against petitioners or respondents not to exceed $300 in total. This is the one that I wanted to just highlight, is the rent review process, which is found under Section 6.1. What triggers the rent review process is a written petition signed by more than 50% of the tenants in a mobile home park who are subject to a rent or service charge increase within a 90-day period. A hearing timeline is no sooner than 10 days and no later than 30 days after receipt of the petition. And Section 6.7, the decision. The commission must issue a final decision no later than 10 days after the conclusion of the hearing. A rent adjustment requires a preponderance of the evidence, so most likely than not, with supporting facts and findings provided by each party. Tenants petitioning for a rent reduction must also show that the increase is unreasonable based on the evaluation factors, such as operating costs, fair return on investment. Park owners seeking to justify an increase must show that the factors such as increased utility rates, property taxes, insurance, etc., cost of living, and maintenance and capital improvements, addition to amenities or services, and fair rate of return on investment and increased property values support the increase. So there are possible outcomes, which is found under Section 6.8. The commission may order the park owner to reduce rents or service charges to a rate it determines, maintain the prior rent level, or increase the rents to a rate set by the commission or as requested by the owner. Evaluation factors found under Section 10.10. In evaluating a proposed rent increase, the commission considers increased utility rates, property taxes, insurance, and governmental assessments, cost of living increases for incidental services, normal repair, maintenance, and capital improvements, addition of amenities or services, fair rate of return on investment, and increased property values. And then under section 2-206K, and that's found in the municipal code, the commission's conclusions and findings are final. There are no appeal rights to the city council. Okay. And then the next item I would like to cover I would also like to cover, I'm not sure if you all had the opportunity to read through the letter provided by the attorneys of London Spires who are present today. The city received a letter of objection from the attorneys on April 20th, 2026. I reviewed the letter and would like to provide the commission with my analysis and recommendations before we begin. So just for a background, as I mentioned, the commission received a petition concerning rent increases at London Spires implemented between 2022 and 2025. The most recent increase was noticed in September 2025 and became effective January 1st, 2026. An initial petition was submitted on December 30th, 2025, but was found deficient by the city clerk on February 17th, 2026, for failure to meet the required number of qualified signers. A supplemental submission was filed February 26, 2026, and the city clerk confirmed by letter dated March 23rd, 2026, that all applicable requirements were met as of that date. So I'd like to start off with breaking out the timeline for the increases. So the authority to proceed, so from January 1st, 2026 increase, Section 6.1 of Ordinance 772 authorizes the commission to proceed upon a qualifying petition filed by more than 50% of affected tenants who will be or have been within a 90-day period subject to a rental or service charge increase. The February 26, 2026 petition was filed at approximately 57 days after the January 1st, 2026 effective date, which is well within the 90-day window pursuant to the ordinance. The commission has authority to proceed as of the January 1st, 2026 increase. Okay. As to the 2022 to 2024 increases, Section 6.1 of Ordinance 772 limits the commission's authority to increases occurring within a 90-day period of the qualifying petition. The operative petition date is February 26, 2026. Increases implemented in 2022, 2023, and 2024 fall well outside that 90-day window. City Clerk's March 23, 2026 letter confirms that the December 30th, 2025 submission was not a qualifying petition and cannot serve as an earlier anchor date. Ordinance 772 contains no provision authorizing retroactive review beyond the 90-day eligibility period. That being said, it is my recommendation that the rental commission proceed with the hearing as to the January 1st, 2026 rent increase, as the February 26, 2026 petition falls within the authorized 90-day window. and to decline to proceed as to the rent increases implemented prior to 2026, as those increases fall outside the Commission's authorized scope under Section 6.1 of Ordinance Number 772. Because this is a jurisdictional ruling, the Commission must memorialize its decision as a formal Commission action, not merely a chair's directive. So I would request that the Commission proceed with a motion, but before we do that, we need to swear the commissioners in.
Thank you, City Attorney, for that presentation. I apologize for having to be away for a few moments, but we'll take this opportunity to swear in our new commissioners. If you all would please stand. And if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, your name, solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations. Thank you very much for your service. I do have some documents that the city requires you to sign. You may keep one and return the other to the city. Shall we do that now? Okay. That's okay. I'll take care of it. Yeah. Commissioner Emerson? There are two documents. Please sign this one and the one that is in the folder. I would like to state for the record that typically the mayor or the city clerk does the oath of office, but for the record, I have been deputized for today and today only to preside over the ceremony give you the oath of office. So thank you, City of Hemet, for giving me the opportunity to do that. We have a city council meeting going on at this time at the library, so the mayor and the city clerk were not available today. Now that everybody has declared their oath of office, we can now entertain nominations for chairman or chair of the Mobile Home Rent Review Commission. Do we have any nominations for chair? Commissioner Frank, who would you like to nominate?
I would like to nominate Commissioner Johnston for chair.
May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any other nominations for chair?
I'd like to second for Johnson.
Okay. If there are no other nominations, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Emerson,
Motion to proceed, yes.
Commissioner Frank,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnston,
Yes.
Commissioner Stetterstrom,
Yes.
Commissioner Welker.
Yes.
Congratulations, Chair Johnston. At this time, may we now have nominations for vice chair?
I'm going to go ahead and nominate Mr. Walker.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Second,
Are there any other nominations for vice chair? There being none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Welker,
Yes.
Commissioner Stetterstrom,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnston,
Yes.
Commissioner Frank,
Yes.
Commissioner Emerson.
yes.
For clarity, who second the motion for vice chair?
Me.
Stetterstrom? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much. Congratulations, Chair and Vice Chair. For our next meeting, we will reorder the seating on the dais. We typically have the chair and the vice chair seated at the middle, but for the remainder of this meeting today, I think we'll keep you where you're positioned currently. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to our city attorney, who has a clarification on an item.
Yes, so as we were discussing the letter provided by the attorneys from London Spires, before we begin any testimony, I would suggest the chair to open the floor for a motion on the scope of the hearing. So would you like me to, okay. So the recommendation was to proceed with the hearing as to the January 1st, 2026 rent increase, as the February 26, 2026 petition falls within the authorized 90-day window pursuant to Ordinance 772, particularly to Section 6.1, and to decline to proceed as to the rent increases implemented prior to 2026, as those increases fall outside the Commission's authorized scope under Section 6.1 of Ordinance Number 772. So a suggested motion would be, I move that the Commission limit the scope of this hearing to the January 1st, 2026 rent increase, and that the Commission decline to proceed as to any rent increases implemented prior to 2026, as those increases fall outside the Commission's jurisdiction under Section 6.1 of Ordinance Number 772.
So I would like to proceed with just the January 2026 and then go ahead and dismiss the previous at this time.
And the motion needs to be seconded by Commissioner.
Second.
Commissioner Emerson,
Yes.
correction, Vice Chair Emerson,
No, it's Vice Chair Welker.
oh, Yeah. So Welker's our vice chair?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so Commissioner Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Frank,
Yes.
Chair Johnston,
Yes.
Commissioner Setterstrom,
Yes.
Vice Chair Welker.
Yes.
That motion carried.
At this time for this hearing, we will open up for public comment. If any members of the audience would like to discuss something that is not on today's agenda, you're welcome to do so. If so, please approach the podium and make sure the microphone is on. It would be indicated with a green light. This meeting is being recorded, so just so you know, any public comments are recorded. Would anybody in the audience like to speak on an item not on the agenda? Okay. You may approach, ma'am. If you could you please state your name for the record? We'll change that for you.
Okay. My name is Vicki Kitchen. I'm a resident of London Spires, and I've been a resident since 2013. In 2018, I was hired as a co-manager of London Spires until my termination was requested by the corporate London Spires in May 2021 after I had open heart surgery. I was given the choice of turning in my resignation or being terminated. I chose to resign. Since then, I lived a quiet, peaceful life, enjoying the unity of our community because I felt that it would not be wise to create a problem with the new management. So when another resident spoke up about the management and the increase for the fourth year in a row, she said she wanted to do something. I said, well, I'll help you. So I'm here to tell you my story and the impact of not just the unfair rent increase, but the slow deterioration of our community lost to corporate milking. London Spires is a senior mobile home park consisting of 169 spaces on 9 acres. A title check on the property shows it has been family-owned and operated for over 50 years until March of 2021, which changed operations to Inspire Communities LLC and owners to Royce London Spires LLC with a mortgage of over $352 million. There was an existing formal plan made and filed with the City of Hemet to improve the park appearance and including necessary improvements in 2019. But the approved plan has never been implemented. And you can see that in the city council notes where that was submitted and approved for the improvements. Also, according to the title check in August 2025, another mortgage was attached to London Spires of over $8 million for a building or construction loan which apparently was not used for the property at London Spires since no visible repairs or improvements have been made. The clubhouse and 2 stories with upstairs room built for people to gather together was roped off in 2021. We were told we were not allowed to go up there. It's still closed today. There is a clubhouse floor repair needed on the first floor level to replace at least half of the floor that was moldy, broken, and water damaged since 2021. It was not repaired until January of 2026. Does that mean my time's up?
You have a little more time, but I failed to let you know that you have 3 minutes, so I'm going to let you go a little over, but if you could please wrap it up soon.
Well, I can't. I have more information.
Yes, we can give you 1 more minute. But then, yes, you may submit that written comment.
Discrimination issues are known to be connected to new applications for residency, employment, vendors, and preferences to certain individuals wanting to buy abandoned homes that are up for auction. Auction notices are not visible for anyone other than the preferred buyer. There have been a number of used mobile homes moved into the vacant lots, and they were given decking and carpeting that have been replaced since they were moved in 4 years ago. No one has bought any of those houses. So what we're seeing is a lot of people who have worked hard all their life, and now we're coming to a mobile home park where we're supposed to take care of the financial stability of a corporation. In short.
Thank you so much. Are there any other members of the audience who would like to speak? Please approach the lectern, ma'am. And please state your name for the record, and be advised you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay, excuse me. My name is Susan Lyman. I've lived at 725 West Thornton in London Spires Mobile Home Park since the year 2000. And I expected rent increases every single year. I've had them every year, but this last one is unfeasible. We don't earn enough money to pay this increase. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Just a reminder for the audience that public comment at this time would be for items that are not on the agenda. When we get to the public hearing item, you would have an opportunity to speak specifically to the issue at hand. And are there any other members of the audience who have a comment on an item not on today's agenda? Seeing none, Secretary Johnson, do we have any e-comments or public speakers online?
No.
Okay, then I will close this portion of the public hearing at 8:50, the public comment at 8:50 a.m. and turn it over to Assistant City Attorney Sarwari to begin the public hearing process.
Thank you. We'll begin with the public hearing process that we've follow for our city council meetings and our other commission meetings. And we'll begin with a staff presentation. And that would be provided by Emery.
I'm going to do a verbal presentation, very brief. I believe all the commissioners were forwarded the information that was provided by the applicant and the opposing party, the owner of the park. And I believe the applicants have received copies of the letter of protest. The letter of protest was already discussed by City Attorney Sarwari. Do you have any questions about the materials that have been provided to you? None. Okay. At this point, I'm a little unfamiliar as to where we go with the ordinance.
At this point, what we can do is questions from the commission to staff. After that, we will open public hearing and have the representatives from London Spires come up if they would like to address the commissioners, and then the commissioners will have opportunity to ask questions. So we'll go step by step. The commission, do you have any questions for staff? Okay, now we would ask for the chair to open public hearing. So,
All right, we're going to go ahead and open the public hearing with all this.
and then you would use the gavel, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So at this point, the attorneys for London Spires, would you like to have the opportunity to come to the podium?
For the record, sir, you are not limited to 3 minutes. You have time to respond to the application and submittal materials.
Correction. Correct. Please proceed. Yes.
Just real quick, for this, I understand everybody's very emotional. There's a lot going on, so please refrain from, being disrespectful. Everybody has the chance to speak. So while everybody's speaking, please be mindful and respectful. Thank you.
Honorable Commissioners, my name is John Pentecost. I am a shareholder and owner of Hart Kenley Pentecost, and I have the privilege to represent Royce London Spears LLC, doing business as London Spears. It's a mobile home park located at 725 West Thornton Avenue in Hemet, California, 92543. We're here this morning to address the petition brought by some of the tenants of the park alleging to contest rent increases. We've already determined, the commission has already determined via motion that the increases for 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025 are beyond the scope of this commission, and so we're only dealing with the rent increase that did go into effect on January 1st of 2026. I would also note that none of the tenants none of them paid under a reservation of rights or objections or anything. Let me introduce the representative of London Spears. This is Greg Garland. And Greg, can you introduce yourself here?
Yes, my name is Greg Garland, Regional Manager for Inspire Communities that oversees London Spires.
And it's Troy Moore. Troy, you want to come in?
I'm Troy Moore. I'm the manager of London Spires.
Thank you. Would also like, as a point of order, to advise the commission that, commissioners, that the time requirements under the ordinance and municipal code 2-206, in my mind, our position, were not made. That assuming that the commission has taken as that the validation date for the petition is February 26th of 2026. There was supposed to have been a hearing, not less than 10 days and not more than 30 days from the time of the petition. And so 30 days would have been March 30th of 2026. I know that there was a previous hearing that was noticed for March 25th of 2026. There was a 2-day notice on that, so that notice was invalid under the ordinance. And so I believe that the commissioners are without power and lack the jurisdiction to proceed on this matter based upon the failure to act within the 30 days that is required under 2-206A. And so and it only says unreasonable continuance may be granted as stipulated by both parties. or at the commissioner's discretion. Well, the commission can't make, I don't believe, a situation where it notices improperly the previous hearing on March 25th of 2026, giving 2 days. So that meeting was improper, and there was no quorum at that point in time. And so there was nobody at the commission to provide a continuance of that hearing. So I would request at this point in time, before we go further, a ruling by the commission on that.
Thank you for that. Based on the review that I've seen and compared to the ordinance and the timeline, the March 25th, 2026 was continued, and it was well within the required timeline under the ordinance 772. So this commission is just, they've made their ruling as far as what dates that they're going to be applicable to under the jurisdiction. So we maintain that position.
Well, my client proceeds today without waiver of any of its rights to contest this at a administrative mandamus that might have to be filed based upon the commission's failure to comply with its own ordinance and the rent control ordinance. So that's, I think they need to follow their own timing requirements, and I understand what the city attorney said, but again, it's our position that it should be dismissed. Before we go on, and while it's fresh in our minds, I would like sort of take out of order of my presentation to have Mr. Moore comment upon the comments made by Vicki Kitchen. And so if, Mr. Moore, if you could come forward and provide us with the comment rebutting Ms. Kitchen's statements previously.
The statement about the floor in the clubhouse isn't completely accurate. We did put a new floor in there in 2022, and then we put another new floor in just this last December. So we have corrected the problem in there. We were working on it. The floor that was put in originally in 21, 22 was damaged, and so we had to replace it again. And we did put in a better floor this time that's not going to be taken apart by water so much.
And there was some statements regarding vacant lots. Do you have any comments on that?
The vacant lots, they were filled by some new and some used mobile homes. Every year we do have a weed problem, and it takes some time to get them cleared out. But we only have 4 vacant lots in the park now, but we have 11 new homes for people to purchase.
And can anybody purchase those homes?
Anybody can purchase those homes.
If I may, I believe Chair Johnston has a question.
So, okay, so my question is, like with the replacement and stuff like that, can you guys, if it came down to it legally, since this is gonna be a very big uphill battle, can you guys provide all those transactions, maintenance logs, as well as, things that go into those fundings?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions.
So just so as an overview, what is a mobile home park? I'm not sure if any, I know that some of the commissioners are familiar with mobile home parks. They may live in them, they may run them. And so, but just for the overview for the other commissioners, a mobile home park is sort of like a small city. The park owns the land, and it maintains the park's infrastructure, the utilities, the sewers, the roads, the clubhouse, the rec room, pool, spa, sauna, restrooms, anything that deals with the mobile home park. The park collects rents for space and to fund the operation of the park. The park is constitutionally allowed to obtain a fair rate of return. The homeowners own their homes, and so they may have homes that have mortgages against them that are not with the park. Those would be third-party loans. They may be free and clear, depends upon what kind of deals they've made. So their relationship with the park is a landlord-tenant relationship. And they are under the Rent Review Commission's authority in the city of Hemet. And there's several mobile home parks in the city of Hemet, which we'll get into later on. As I think you'll see, and we have exhibits, that the rents charged are not unreasonable nor unconscionable, and in fact that the park is on the low side of the rent increase and rent levels within the city of Hemet. Mr. Moore, could you advise, sort of go over the amenities of the park? And I have provided photos. They're in the manila envelopes over there in front of the secretary. So, since it might be difficult to see all this vis-a-vis the files that we've presented, we'll also provide to the commission a PDF of all the exhibits so that they can review them and stuff. So, Mr. Moore, what are the amenities of the park? I briefly went through them. Can you go through them and then go through the photographs, which we're including as Exhibit 19 for the park, London Spears?
The amenities that we do have a clubhouse, very large clubhouse. Yes, the top floor is closed off. The stairs are very narrow. It was built in 1960s, and they've become unsafe. We didn't want anybody going upstairs. A lot of people can't go upstairs because of ailments or whatever. But we do have a clubhouse. We have a laundry room. We have a pool, a spa, a sauna, a small library, and we have a recreation room. I've provided photographs of all these amenities.
Now, what's in the recreational room?
In the recreation room, we do have exercise equipment. We have a ping pong table. We have 2 pool tables. Nobody uses the shuffleboard anymore. That's about it. Oh, we have a dog park also that we just put in.
And that's one of the pictures in the
Yeah,
in the
one of the
group?
photographs in here is of the dog park. I believe it's the second photograph. Yes.
And was that dog park installed by London Spears?
Yes, we had it installed Contractors put it in at a cost of about $23,000.
And is that used by the park?
Yes, it is.
Any questions by the commission to Mr. Moore on those?
Are we saving our questions to the end, or do you want us to go ahead and,
It's preferred to have them to complete their testimony, and then after that, we can all have questions, yes.
Okay,
thank you.
cool, thank you. So next I'll have Mr. Garland come up and testify regarding the rent increase that went into effect on January 1st of 2026.
Good morning, and again, thank you for allowing us to speak here today. January 1st, 2026, we, Inspire Communities, implemented a rental increase of $59, or it's a 8.59% over the prior year. Rent increase from $687 to $746. However, if you do look at the span of the time period, I know we're not going all the way back to 2022, but we, over that time period, it averaged out about a 7.6% across that time period. And the main reason for that is for us to gradually kind of get back into the market, right? Up to where the market is. It wasn't egregious on our end, in our minds. It was to get us to the level to where the rest of our competitive set or the local area is setting at. Obviously, with our expense increases through the years, just from operating costs, from landscaping to pool to just any vendor expense that we would need to make to the utility lines, and all of those increase throughout every single year as well. So in our analysis of all this, it's us just keeping our expenses up with our revenues, and that's simply what the company is looking at as we're going through our rental increases each year.
Okay, let's go to Exhibit 2. I'll provide an updated one, but these are the income and expenses that have been over the various years. But since we're only maintaining with respect to the January 1st of 2026, we'll revise that and provide it over. So, Mr. Garland, from 2024 to 2025, because that was the full year prior to January 1st, what was it? Was there an increase in total revenue?
Yeah, our total revenue increased by 3.7% annually.
And how much was the total revenue for that period of time?
1.3.
1.3, okay. And then what was the total of the operating expenses for that same period of time?
650.
650. And did those operating expenses increase over the prior year?
The operating expenses increased about 2.3% over that year.
And did the $59 increase keep up with the inflation on the expenses that the park incurred?
We believe so, yes.
Okay, so have the costs of operations, they've increased? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And can you explain to the commission the expenses that have increased?
Absolutely, thank you. Just to name a few, without getting into every single line item, our property and taxes increased Riverside County assessment increases, Prop 13 escalators, additional local assessments. Really since 2022, I know we're not going back that far, but our property taxes have increased about 20% annually since then. As well as our insurances have increased over that same time period, approximately annually is about 10.4% annually. Wildfire risk exposures, insurance carrier withdrawals from the state, market-wide premium adjustments have all impacted our insurance. As we all know, labor costs go up every single year. So from 22 at $15 an hour up to where we are now in the mid-16s. But that also goes with payroll taxes, workman's comp increases, vendor labor costs increases as those wages increase. Again, like I mentioned earlier, our landscaping, our pool maintenance, just our general expenses on repairs over the years have all increased. From 24 to 25, our landscaping increased almost about 40%. Pool maintenance increased almost 10%. Repairs and maintenance just in general throughout the park increased almost 30%. So all of these expenses throughout just to maintain the park have increased, right? And a lot of those come from supply chain inflation, fuel price increases, labor shortages. So all of those come into effect when we're talking about our expenses.
So do these increases reflect broader economic factors that impact the park?
Yes, sir.
So I'd like Mr. Moore to come up, and he did a market survey, so I'd like to, it was a two-part market survey. So Mr. Moore, you did a market survey of comparable rent levels in the city of Hemet,
Yes, I did.
and what did your survey show?
It showed that London Spires is one of the more inexpensive mobile home parks in the Hemet area. We have Saddleback, which is, their rent right now is $950. Echo Hills, which is $765. We have Santa Rosa at $800. Mountain View at $892. Sun Valley at $800. Desert Palm at $850. And Eden Rock at $850.
Now, how did you get these numbers?
I actually called each mobile home park and went and visited them myself and talked to the manager.
And can you go through the various, the parks that you just listed out, Saddleback, Echo Hills, Santa Rosa, Mountain View, Sun Valley, Desert Palm, and Eden Rock, which is ROC, and the comparison to whether they're 55 years or older, or if they're all age, and comparing to London Spires?
Most of the mobile home parks that I visited were 55 and older. London Spires is 55 and older. We did visit a few family parks, got their rent increases and everything from them. Still, we've come in lower than anybody we visited, and we try to visit everybody that's in the general area to where it's comparable to us.
All right, thank you. Mr. Garland, did you also do an investigation of, as I said, there's many, many mobile home parks in the city of Hemet. Did you do any investigation on comparable rents in the city of Hemet area?
Yes, sir. I went on to MH Village, which is a website where a lot of mobile home parks or mobile home park owners sell their homes. And a quick look through there, just through the first 2 pages, I found 6 different parks. And their site rent was also located on that website, so available for anybody to find on that website. Fairview was $630. Colonial was $1,251. Sun Valley, $800. The Lakes, $985. California, $900. Foothills, $875. The majority of these are 55-plus parks. So you can see they range from $630 up to $1,200, $1,250. You know, by comparison, our in-house rent is averaged at about $750. Our new market rent is $799 for anybody coming in to buy a new home. So we do feel, again, when looking at the broader scope of HIMIT, that we fit on that bottom tier of where the rates sit.
Does, is London Spires designated as affordable housing, Mr. Garland?
No.
And everybody has to be approved as a tenant when they come in, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that's an application process where they have to show their finances, and they get notification of what the current rent is, and what the expenses for electricity, gas, sewer, water, whatever the park is charging, correct?
Correct.
And if they don't have a,
To clarify,
Okay.
some of the utilities are owner expense. Water is
okay, okay, so whatever, I'm saying, whatever,
Yes.
whatever the park
our
charges.
charges are on that lease, yes.
Right. And on those utilities that are charged by the park, those are pass-through items, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so that, that's just what you're being charged by the utility companies, correct?
Correct.
And that's allowed by the mobile home residency law, which is I would call it the Bible for mobile home parks. That's at Civil Code Section 798 et sec. So what charges can be brought with respect to utilities are covered in numerous sections, including 798.40, 798.41, and then there can be charges for things like dog parks or maintenance that are allowed under 798.32. Did you take any other economic considerations with respect to having the $59 increase?
Yeah, I mean, the company does take into consideration, obviously, there's inflation that goes on throughout the world. But national inflation peaked at approximately 7 to 9% in 22-23, right? I know we're not talking about those years anymore, but still to kind of, it's a whole picture to paint, right, and talk about. Obviously, cost of living adjustments have increased, Social Security income, you know, those have increased throughout the years as well. The most recent increase, I think, was at a 3.2% increase based on the Social Security income website, right? Looking up at the COLA data there. And it came straight from their website. Again, we take in consideration, obviously, not only the operation of the park, but also what's going on in California as well.
Right, and the park is allowed to make a reasonable rate of return, constitutionally allowed, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And the reasonable rate of return is the subject of numerous cases through the years, and has been the subject of numerous articles by park owners and residents, the like. But there's a constitutional right for the park to have, not just to say, okay, well, this is what inflation is, this is, we're going to maintain that. They're entitled to a return on their investment. When was the park purchased by Inspire Communities?
March 2021.
March 20 of 21. And so they're entitled to obtain a reasonable rate of return on their investment. And so that's what the park takes into consideration. I would point out to the commissioners, and that I've provided, I believe, the park photos are Exhibit 19. We've given the increase letters, Exhibits 14 through 18. We've given the trash increase letter for 2022, that's 12. We've given the trash increase letter for 2024, that's 13. The cost of living adjustments is Exhibit 11. the CapEx that's been invested. Let's talk about CapEx, by the way. So that is 9. Because there was some statements there that the park hasn't done anything, and which is not correct. So can you go through Exhibit 9 here that you've got and sort of highlight some of the things that have been paid for since 2022 when the park was purchased by London Spires?
Absolutely. So since 2022 to end of 2025, there's roughly $450,000 of.
Excuse me, gentlemen, point of order for one moment, please. The materials that you submitted, hard copies of today, have those been provided electronically to city staff?
No.
Okay, because they were submitted and they weren't collated properly. So for example, I have attachment number 1, I believe, where we have 8 or 9 pages of the same page and then 8 or 9 pages of the next page. So we can't collate those here at the dais. So what you provided to us today as hard copies, the commissioners do not have copies of that presently.
Okay.
You could describe
I
in more
will-
detail the documents you're talking about, and then we will provide the documents to them after the meeting, after we've had an opportunity to collate them properly.
Sure, I can also provide electronic copies as well.
Thank you, sir.
And so that it would be by each exhibit, if that would be acceptable to the commission. Okay, so Exhibit 11, can you describe what this is so that?
So what's on this exhibit is a list of our expenses capital expenses from dating back from 2022 all the way through 2025. Shows a list of what the project was, the year it happened, and the actual cost of that. And then it also breaks down per year how much money was spent in our capital expenditures. As stated, over those 4 years were roughly $450,000 of capital expenditures. Some highlighted items dating back to 2022, repairing the fencing was a big ticket item. Just site prep and bringing new homes in to keep the park looking fresh and clean with some brand new homes was an expense. Every year we try to replace and repair some driveways that are safety issues, obviously, because we want to make sure those uphold. Again, more perimeter fencing repairs, water system and section valve repairs to make sure that the underground has proper shutoff valves throughout the park, so we don't have to shut the water off for the entire park. When we do have small water leaks, more driveways, asphalt throughout the community. What else have we done? Again, more sewer system repairs, main water line repairs. We do have a small continued for 2026. None of this is including any emergency repairs that may pop up throughout the year, right? We don't budget for the emergency repairs. The emergency repairs come through.
Those are in Exhibit 10 that I will provide, and the ones that were in Exhibit 9, I may have misspoke on that. So Exhibit 9 is the projects that are past projects, and Exhibit 10 is what's planned for 2026. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and those are the future projects for this year?
Yes, sir. One, obviously replacing the pool heater and spa heaters to make sure that they're in working order. And then also install a proper pool perimeter fence around where the pool and the clubhouse are. And again, this is not including any emergency repairs that may come to sewer, water line, any electrical line repairs that we may need.
Okay. For the record, and that, again, I will provide digital copies, PDF format. Who would you like me to provide those to? Just the staff email?
Yes, you can submit those either to Sharice Johnston, our secretary, or you can submit those to myself, Emery Pap, EPAP at hemetca.gov, or our Deputy City Clerk, Elodie Klug.
Okay, so before I leave, we'll get those emails so I can get those out to you by tomorrow.
Yes, sir, thank you.
All right, thank you. So the first one is the rent roll. It just shows what the rent roll was and the various rents as of December of 2025. That is a multi-page document. Consisting of 5 pages. Exhibit 2 is the income and expenses, which due date back to 2022 and going forward to 2025. That's a 1-page document. Exhibit 3 is the March 23rd letter from the city and to London Spires regarding the requirements have been met as of February 26th. Exhibit 4 is a copy of the petition, which the commission already has. Exhibit 5 is the second supplemental submittal, which has their signatures, which I received from the city. Exhibit 6 is the February 17th 1-page letter from the city to the tenants saying that their December 30th, 2025 submittal petition was defective. Exhibit 7 is the notice of the continued hearing for today at 8 a.m. It's a 1-page document. Exhibit 8 is the 1-page document, April 7th, 2026, letter from the city to the park owner. Exhibit 9 is, as Mr. Garland testified to, were the capital improvements that have been made since the park is purchased by London Spires. And that's a 1-page document. Exhibit 10 are the CapEx for 2026. That's a 1-page document. Exhibit 11 is the cost of living adjustments. And that goes all the way back to 1975. And that's a 2-page document. Exhibit 12 is the, these are the rent increases. Yeah, rent increases. Let's see. Excuse me. 12 is the rent increase. And excuse me, 12 is the trash increase, and 13, 12 is the trash increase for 2022, and 13 is the trash increase letter for 2024. And then 14 through 18 are the increase letters. The only one that would be viable would be the increase letter for January 1st, 2026. So all the other ones, 14 through 17, are no longer applicable. And let's see, I may have changed that. And then the park photos are Exhibit 19, and those are in individual packets. And 20 is the Federal Reserve economic data. And Mr. Garland, can you talk about what the reserve data tells us? And this goes into, as part of the process for the, for increases for the park that are considered by London Spires as well, correct?
Correct. So there's 3 charts on this Federal Reserve economic data sheets that we provided here. The first one talks about the cost of construction materials, from basically showing the increase from 2021 all the way up to 2026. The baseline is 1982 at 100%, and it just shows the increase since then. And since March of 2021, when we took over, to current day. It's at about a 3.73% increase on construction materials. The second chart shows the house price index for Riverside County. The index at 100% is the year 2000, acquired in 2021. Since then, it's increased about 6.82% in the county of Riverside, the house pricing index. And then the third chart we show is the per capita personal income in Riverside County. That shows when we acquired in 2021 up until it looks like the last data was collected in 2024. It was increased by 2.26% over that time period. So each chart shows, again, since the acquisition, just the increase of all the costs, additional data to support that.
Thank you. London Spires is a business. It's a mobile home park where these people live. They're the park's customers, but it's a business, and it's entitled to a reasonable rate of return. We still believe that that the time limits required under 2-206 were not met. But putting all those aside, without waiving any of the rights, the $59 increase for January 1st of 2026 was reasonable. It didn't keep the park up for the CPI from the expenses that were incurred because expenses are up. So that increase was reasonable, proportional, and necessary so the park could maintain its reasonable rate of return. As Mr. Moore and Mr. Garland testified, that London Spires is one of the lower as far as rent in the local market of all the mobile home parks. Its market rent is $7.99, and so London Spires hasn't gone up to $7.99 for any existing people. What is the rate for in-place people as far as the increases? What's that been made?
Yeah, 746 is the base rate there.
Okay, 746. So we're increasing them at a gradual rate. Has anybody come in for, Mr. Moore, has anybody come in to ask for some kind of economic help or some kind of financial aid by the park or anything along those lines?
No, not at this time, they haven't.
Need to.
No, they haven't.
And so I think if the park can consider that, and I'm not sure if the city of Hemet has its own kind of rent assistance. But again, this is not quote-unquote affordable housing. This is market rate housing. And so that, they qualified for rents and showing what, that they had the ability to pay. And so that's something that is inevitable from the standpoint that the park's expenses to go up. Again, it's like a city. The park can't charge taxes. The only thing it can charge is its rent. And it's tightly controlled by the mobile home residency law. And so it's been making improvements. It's got its capital improvements that you can see. And so denying the increases would impair the park ability to maintain the property, provide the services that it does, and ensure the long-term viability of the community. London Spires did not buy this property to develop it into something else. It's it was acquired to run as a mobile home park. It knew about the rent control when it purchased it, and so it has not increased rents unreasonably. It has not increased rents unconscionably. And so that is something that I think the commission needs to really take into consideration. The park believes that the petition denying our $59 increase, which again, everybody's been paying, nobody's reserved any rights on it. So I think there's some waiver arguments there. So we believe that the rent is, as I say, reasonable. We thank you for your considering the information. As I said, we'll provide you the information so that you can easily review it in PDF form, as well as hard copies. I think the evidence demonstrates that the rent adjustment implemented by London Spires for 2026 was reasonable and necessary to keep pace with the inflation and the increasing costs of operating and maintaining the community. The increase was non-unconscionable. The financial data shows that the revenues have largely tracked the operating expenses, not exceeded them, and the current rents remain near or lower than the market levels within the Hemet area. The goal of these adjustments is not to maximize profits, contrary to what the tenants will say, but to ensure the long-term sustainability of the community and the continued ability for it to provide services, maintenance, and the safe living environment for the residents. Again, we had one Ms. Kitchen come up and talked about the upstairs, and Mr. Moore testified that it was not safe to be up in the upstairs. Things get old. We have to consider what's going to be able to do, what the park is going to have to do to the second story, if it can be done. The park will consider to have a form of assistance for the tenants that are truly in need. But again, they're going to have to demonstrate that they're in need, and they're going to have to show tax returns. They're going to have to show what their income is and everything, sort of like reapplying for tenancy. So that's something the park will take back to the corporate side and determine if that could be done. Again, the park is not an affordable living facility, but it is a great need for the city of Hemet. I believe that probably the apartment rents in and about the city of Hemet are much, much greater than the rents within the park. And so those have to be taken into consideration. For these reasons, London Spires requests and submits that the petition should be denied and the rent increase should be allowed as noticed. Thank you.
Does the commissioners have any questions?
So let me first just say thank you. I appreciate you guys' presentation, you guys coming out. I do have some questions, and kind of bear with me. I'm probably going to jump around a little bit from person to person. I was just taking some notes as we went along. So, but thank you for coming out. So you guys said that the new floor was placed in 2022 and 2025. Is that in the second story that keeps getting mentioned upstairs, or is this a different area?
No, it's down on the main floor that's used. People pretty much over the years have stopped using the top floor. It was set up as a his and hers sides. One side had a pool table for the gentlemen. The other side had sitting tables, card tables for the women. And it's very outdated and just became unpractical for people to get up there and use it. So we pretty much put an end to using it and concentrated on the main floor.
Okay, but they are two different areas.
Yes, they are.
Okay. So if we, and I'm just curious, you guys are talking about maintenance and costs and all these different things. You replaced the floor in 2022 and then you replaced the floor in 2025. Is there a leak that's going on that's causing these extra costs, which is in turn going towards the citizens of the mobile home park? Is that one of the reasons why?
At the time that we put in the second floor, yes, the thresholds were leaking into the clubhouse every time it rained, and we've since then fixed all that to stop the damage to the floors.
Okay, so that situation's been fixed.
Yeah, it's been taken care of.
And then I think it's important for us just to all to recognize that I heard a good argument for the maintenance side of it, but then I also heard an argument for we're trying to be competitive in the market, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, attorney, but our stance here is to make sure that you're not so much competitive in the market, but just to make sure that the adjusted rate increase is needed to cover the maintenance, et cetera, within the park. Does that make sense? Okay.
Well, I think in response, thank you for that question, Commissioner Walker. Showing the rents in the other parks demonstrates that our rents are not unreasonable. Also, not being quote-unquote competitive, but we are entitled to a reasonable rate of return on the investment, and we've trying to keep up with other expenses and the inflation that's going forward on those. So everything costs more these days.
Yeah, I completely understand and I respect your opinion. I can be completely frank, during your presentation, I was like a ping pong ball going back and forth on which side. So I appreciate that. So you kind of stole my next question, to be completely frank with you. You guys mentioned that you went to a lot of these parks, or you looked at these parks online to compare them to the current park that they're living in. Were the amenities the same in each park?
Okay. Troy,
The most of them were, yes. There were a few that had less amenities than us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And did we put into consideration, a hypothetical, this park has a pool, this park doesn't have a pool, and we looked at the overall consideration for the pricing?
Yes.
Every year, we fill out sheets and we submit them into corporate, and it has questionnaires that kind of follow amenities, how they set, where do what rating do we give them, what rating do we give ourselves? So yeah, we take all that into consideration.
Okay. Let's see. And then I know you guys said the current market rate is $7.99 for somebody new to move in, right? That's the overall goal, I guess.
Correct.
So you kept bringing up, sir, that a lot of these people should be able to afford this, right? But I'm just a few comments that I heard. It sounds like a lot of these people have lived in this mobile home park prior to even this company taking over. So I'm wondering, is there something in play? Because you brought up, they're going to have to go through like an application process to make sure they can still afford it and things like that. Is that being taken into consideration if somebody hypothetically has lived in this park for 20 years and they're on a fixed income, now with these adjusted rates? And then I also heard, second part of my question is that there's a road to take to ask for assistance within your guys' operation. And how is that made known to the citizens?
As I said, we will take that in, I'm going to review it with the clients on that to see what programs we can bring into bear.
But hold on, but you said there was a spot or a conversation where a mobile home park owner or a tenant could come to a person and ask for assistance if they were not able to pay the rent.
Then I must have misspoke, because I asked a question, I believe, has anybody come to the park to ask for
So my
finance?
question to that is, how do they know?
Well, open a dialogue with the park manager, Troy Moore.
Okay. But if they don't know, they don't know.
We
right?
don't have, though, a system in place.
Okay.
For that, so we do not have that.
And to touch on your comment on the application process and all that, they don't have to reapply. They applied when they moved in, right? Those new rates that we're talking about, the $7.99 rate, is not for the folks that are in this room. That's for the new folks coming to move in.
Sure, yeah, no, I understood that.
I just wanted to clarify.
I think I was just trying to make sure that we understand the scope of why it's trying to be raised, which I agree there's maintenance costs. I understand the construction side of that. I understand inflation, all these different things that are going on in the political world right now. But I just want to make sure there's also avenues and the information is being brought forward to justify the $59 raise, right? And then I think that the last thing I would say is and this kind of touches on your question or your statement before, is that if they could come, but if they didn't, if they are continuing to pay their rent, right? But if they don't pay their rent, then what's the alternative? They get kicked out?
Well, if rents are not paid, then they would be subject to an eviction. I would say, Mr. Moore, how many people have been evicted during the time that you've been the manager?
During the time that I've been manager for Inspire, I would say 2.
And was both those for rent, or was one for rule
One
violation?
was for violation and one was for rent.
So one was for rule violation, correct?
Mhm, yes.
And the other one was for rent.
Yes.
Tell us about the one, briefly, on the one with rent.
The gentleman had a bad drug problem, and he didn't pay his rent for 6 months, and he refused to pay it from there when we notified him.
Yeah, and these are all, I don't want to get into people's specifics, but obviously that's a reasonable situation where you have to take action. I understand that.
Yeah.
So,
So to touch base too, because we manage multiple parks, correct?
Yes.
And so in most of our parks, when those situations come up where folks have difficulty, that the conversations had with whether, we're trying to collect rent, right? That's our
Absolutely,
job, to
yeah.
collect the rent. So when those calls are made or doors are knocked on and people are late on their rent, that's when the conversation starts. And that's when we're to open those doors and now make better processes, right? As we always want to do, make better processes and have more information available for them of where they might be able to get those rental assistance from. But speaking with London Spire specifically, all rents are paid, so those conversations aren't had as often as maybe some of my other parks that we represent.
I respect that. That's actually all I have for now. If my partners have anything.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you again for your time. Vice Chair, thank you for the questions. A lot of those questions I had as well. One of my main questions steers back to the communication with the residents of the increase. You provide a rent roll. We have not seen the rent roll just yet. When we look at their rent roll, will we be able to see late fees that are applied also to the residents on a consistent basis because of the increase? Is one of my questions.
Yeah, the rent roll only shows what the rent is and what the last increase was.
Okay.
And who the person, space, move-in date. And I'm not, do you guys charge late fees?
Yes.
We do, yeah.
Okay. Have they been prevalent in this? Has there been any late fees been charged?
Yes, there has been some late fees been charged.
Okay.
Thank you. Next question I have is my final question. New tenants that are looking to move in, are there offered concessions, first month free, half off first month? Any of those concessions being applied to new residents is my next question.
Those vary, yes. I think our current one is a couple months, right? Yes, we offer concessions for new resident move-ins, yes, sir.
I'd like to speak on behalf of the chair. Would it be an opportunity for us to be able to review some of those concessions that you guys have had over the last 12 months, 24 months? Would that be helpful to provide?
We can submit that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I have a question. In the, well, that's another recommendation, but I know that we are only looking at the 2024-25 period. Would like to be able to review, and make a revision in those particular expenses to only reflect those particular years first instead of the overall of the previous years that we're not considering those records. We would like to see I would like to see those, first of all of us, to be able to see that picture. There was a mention on the last increase I'm speaking of, was the $59 the only increase that was made? Did that, and do your rates only include, do your rates include for your park utilities or it excludes utilities? Or was there an additional fee outside of the $59?
So utilities, electric and gas are paid by the resident directly to SoCal Edison, SoCal Gas. I believe those are the companies. Water is the only utility that we charge back to the residents. Oh, and trash. Perfect. Thank you. Sorry. So, and those are just pass-throughs, right? So whatever we get charged, we pass through what the bill is divided by the residents, and it goes through there. We don't make, there's no overages to any of that. And then, so that was the utility part. And then the site rent is just the site rent. There's nothing else included in that rate that we're talking about. They're all separated on the ledgers.
I know there was a mention about solar. Was there a mention of solar?
Not by us.
Okay, so you don't have on your premises any area of solar that you're using to offset, I'm sorry, let me say it again with my mic on.
We do have solar on site, yes.
Have solar that you're using as the owner to offset utility costs? That's the question I'm asking.
For our electric costs.
Just real quick, let's have them speak. We'll give you guys a chance. I appreciate it. Thank you.
For our electric costs, yes, ma'am. Offsets.
And when you say our, you're speaking of the property own,
Correct, because we're all direct billed for our own electric at the community.
okay, thank you.
Also, I think in connection with your request with regard to the expenses, on Exhibit 2, the expenses are broken out by year, so, as well as the improvements that are, the CapEx improvements that are, I believe, Exhibit 9, and then the future ones for 2026 are Exhibit 10, or they should be, so. And I also might add that we are required to, if they want to have solar, to approve that, as long as they comply with Title 25 of the California regulations.
Mr. Pencost, the secretary was able to collate all of the exhibits and the documents you provided. So thank you, Sharice.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director Papp. Very nice, thank you. But I will still provide digital copies because they'll be in color and all that kind of stuff. So. I'm sorry, Commissioner Frank, did that answer your question as far as you got?
Yes, it answered my question. Thank you.
And also these rent increases are not just 30-day rent increases, they're 90-day rent increases. And so that's, under the mobile home residency law, as well as the rent stabilization ordinance. We can only, most rent stabilization ordinances allow once per year. That's all we do, once per year. We don't charge for separately for CapEx or anything along those lines, which some parks that are not within a jurisdiction would charge for. It's just part of our over operational expenses.
So I have a question for you. When it comes down to the homeowners or the tenants in the area, do you take into account for the SRA Act or veterans' preferences, as well as the stipulations of Social Security being neither approved or denied when it comes to your residents? Like, my advice had stated, like, maybe looking at redoing applications to make sure that they're still eligible? Or is that something you guys even considered?
No, we don't think we've considered that, but I would say that they just passed a new law that says that if somebody is falling behind because of their Social Security checks not coming in, government shutdown, those kind of things, that we can't evict them for that.
Okay, what about, are you familiar with the SCRA Act for veterans, active duty service members, COD wide? Are you aware of that? That does correlate with some of these tenants, or?
Well, I know that we can't evict somebody who's in active service for a certain period of time, and so I know about that, yes.
Okay, so you do state that you are familiar with them being veterans as well, that they do still fall under that SCRA Act, correct?
We don't know who is a veteran in our park.
Okay,
That's not part of the questionnaire. No.
okay, no further questions, thank you.
I actually got one more, I apologize. Mr. Garland's kind of probably get some information from you on this one. So you said that you're in the process of replacing the pool heater, spa heater, and putting up a pool perimeter fence. When was that issue identified?
Well, the pool heater, when it went out, obviously, right? That went out and probably about 4 weeks ago, and then there's a bidding process, right? Any
Sure.
capital expenditures through the company, there's a bidding process and lead time and all that. The pool fence is a project that came up just in analyzing the community at the middle, towards the back half, Q4 of the year. We have a capital team that comes out and kind of reviews it, and just based on certain gates and safety reasons, we wanted to add a gate to it, so that way it was properly always monitored without us having to make sure every gate was shut.
Okay, and then do you guys just, I guess just to kind of clarify from myself, do you guys have an operating budget for each park? Or, so you have X amount of money set aside for each park to do all these things? Okay, all right, thank you.
Each park is a single-purpose entity, basically. I said each park is a single-purpose entity in and of itself.
So I actually have one more question. So in the beginning, you guys do state that they have to apply for their spot, right? That goes back to my question with the Social Security and the veterans disability. That has to be disclosed, right? So how do you guys, I know you did state that you guys don't know if they're veterans or not, or on Social Security, how would you say in a better recommendation since it is a fixed income or COLA increase or things like that, how would you say as a community, as, somebody that manages, how would you say, for example, better manage that? Because those are very important key factors, especially for the residents here.
Well, as far as when they apply, they have to show all their income. And so at that point in time, they would show, what income they're receiving from Social Security or SSI or any kind of pension funds, if that's available. And we can't discriminate on that basis.
Right, I understand.
All those things. And they would also be entitled to have Section 8 housing qualifying as well, that we can't discriminate on that basis as well.
Right, but you did state that you didn't know specifically who was living in the community that is a veteran or not.
That's true.
You did state that.
That's true.
But they do provide that income.
They would provide income on their application if they're,
Yeah, it's submitted through the application, but
Okay.
in our systems, we don't, it's not notated or marked of any of that information, simply stays with the application.
Okay, I know it doesn't go against law federally, but when it comes down to that, maybe as a recommendation, noting that COLA can be increased or decreased for Social Security as well as veteran benefits if they're not 100% permanent. So they do tend to have those fluctuations that do need to be taken in consideration. That's just my recommendation to you guys. That being said, again, Social Security and the veteran preference does fluctuate. So maybe taking that, further looks into that. I know there are a lot of benefits for veterans as well as the Social Security, especially over the ages of 50 and up. But just to take into that consideration that not everybody is qualified for that, especially if they're not at, I want to say 60% or higher or 100% permanent. And I know during certain times that a lot of veterans and individuals are not at that 100%.
Absolutely, and heard, we'll notate that and look into that. And one more point, I mean, we're here to have open dialogue, even at the community, right? Have open dialogue with the residents. If any residents, any of those kind of things change on a dime on them, my hope at least is they start the conversation with Troy and we can kind of talk through options and availability.
Are there any other questions? No? Okay, thank you. Just for housekeeping, can we do a brief recess, maybe a 5-minute, just so everyone can stretch out and may go to the restroom? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your time.
I just wanted to address Mr. Pencas's assertions in the beginning of the hearing in regards to the hearing on March 25th. The March 25th, 2026 hearing was properly noticed under the 24-hour requirement. And again, as previously explained, under Section 6.1 of Ordinance 772, jurisdiction was properly invoked when the February 26, 2026 petition was filed, and it was 57 days after the January 1st, 2026 effective date, well within the 90-day window. Prior to the MHRCC, the Mobile Home Rent Review Commissioner's terms expired on March 18th. The City Council then extended them on March 24th. Then on March 25th, there was a hearing which was continued due to no quorum. The City Council then appointed the current commission on April 14th, bringing us here at today's hearing. Thank you. And do the commissioners have any other questions? Okay. At this time, the commission will close the evidentiary record. Okay. I don't have the agenda, so that's why. That's okay. Okay, Chair, are you prepared for the next section?
I am, yes. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the petitioners to present evidence of the rent increases and their impact, please, and thank you.
Is the petitioner present? Can you step up to the podium and?
I do believe that all the petitioners have enclosed their proof of rent increases in the packets that were delivered to the gentleman over here.
Yes, we have a number of packets here. We'll place that in its record and we'll have it scanned to the file. Is there any petitioner that would like to speak or present any evidence?
Well, since I'm here, if it's all right, I'll go ahead and make a
Okay.
couple of comments if I can. So first of all, my name's Ron, and I want to also thank you for an opportunity to speak. And I want to point out that I completely understand a company wanting to make a profit. It's totally normal. That's what they all want to do. But I want to circle back around to what this gentleman talked about earlier, and that's about the legacy renters, so to speak, the ones that have been there for quite a long time. You'd ask about that. And there's a number of those types of renters. They've been here for 20 years, 25 years, maybe even more. I came to speak on behalf of my mom, who's been a renter there for 23 years. And during that time, up until 2021, it was owned by a single entity, I believe, a family, and they had owned it for quite a long time. When my parents first moved in, I do believe that the rent was approximately $250 a month. That was the base rent when they moved in, and this is back in 2003, 4, roughly. When Inspire took over, the rents were $514, and that was 16 or 17 years later. The average rent increases for that entire time were approximately $17 per month in every single year from the time that they moved in until Inspire took over. My question is, how is it that they were able to run a business, keep the park going, pay all the overheads on $17 a month increase in each given year that my mom was a renter up until, of course, the takeover? In the meanwhile, the rents have more than tripled each year since. And since we can't ask for any adjustments, it still comes into play as far as what's reasonable and what's fair. When you think about that, for a number of years, people who are all retired for the most part, or 55 and older, living on limited income, usually Social Security or some other retirement benefit, don't have, all that much, disposable income, to spend. And while we can't address the last 4 or 5 years, it still comes into play where we are today. You know, over a period of, what is it, let me see, about 15 years, the rents increased from when my parents moved in about $250. Okay, for the last 5 years, they've increased about $250. So that's 3 times what the previous owner was able to do compared to what Inspire is doing. And also to address their desire to make a profit, I'd be willing to bet that if they purchased the property in 2021, that they've seen a reasonable amount of increased value over that period, given the increase in values of real estate from 2021, 22, 23, and 24. We've seen massive increases in real estate values, which I'm sure they've benefited from also.
You may continue. Sir, you may continue. You're speaking on behalf of the petitioner.
Okay, yeah. So that was pretty much what I wanted to bring up. I just feel that if the previous owner was able to maintain a park, keep it up and running, and only raise the rents $17 a month per year up until Inspire took over, it just seems a little bit hard to understand why they're raising the rents triple of what the previous owner did. And yes, we all know that things have gotten more expensive over the last few years, but he owned that property through ups and downs in the market too, and still managed to keep the rents level, or at least at a level of expectation of the renters, so that they could kind of know what to expect each year, and that seemed to work quite well for the renters. So I'm not sure what else to add. I think that's pretty much the point I wanted to make. So thank you all.
Yes, yes. I would like to officially open public comment. You may proceed.
My name is Sharon Temple, and I've lived at London Spires for over 20 years. And when I first moved in there, we paid our electric and gas bill through the park. They decided to put in individual gas and light and electricity for each mobile home, and then they put in the solar. And I don't want, did we have to pay for that? Are we paying for that through them? Because I just, that's it. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mary Boyer. I live in Space 9. I'm just kind of curious. I heard them say, nobody, if they couldn't pay their rent, nobody's complaining about paying their rent. If they evict us, we are responsible for our mobile. So they keep charging us rent until we either sell it or get rid of it. So everybody is going to try to pay for it, because if you don't and you get kicked out, then you're still responsible to pay them the money when you're not even living there, when you have to go find another place to live. So anyway, that's one thing I wanted to bring up. And my rent is $820 a month with the sewage and everything else. Now they say it's this, but they take the water and trash and sewage out. And I make $1,363 a month. Now, at the time I moved in there, I was 54, and I was married. So our income was great, we qualified. But then my husband passed away 2 years ago, and I got on disability because I have COPD, so I can't work. And all I have is my Social Security, which, leaves me $500 a month. to figure out how I'm gonna pay my electric bill, which I went on all the CARE programs and whatever. To pay my tags on my car, I had to sell my jewelry I had because I couldn't afford to pay the tags on it. But I figured that I could save $50 a month until next year so I can pay the tags on it again. Well, if they're raising my rent $50 a month every year, because they've done it for the last 3 years, I ain't gonna be able to do this. And I was sitting over there and some lady said, we can't get Section 8 in the situation that we live in. So there is no, there's no subsidizing. So, let me see. Oh, and I wanted to know, on these new mobiles that they put in, did we have to pay for that out of what, the increase on our rent? Or did they take it out of their fund? Did it come out of the fund to run our whole community? Because it's a lot to put a brand-new mobile on the property, so. Okay, that's all. It's just something I needed to say.
Hi, my name is James Guillen. I live at London Spires. I heard everything about the cost of living for them to maintain the park, everything, property, land, and everything. But there was one thing that was not brought up, was security. We don't have, they say we do. Some of us are close to the clubhouse or to the front of the main gate. I fall in the middle. And we have problems with, last year, it was a major epidemic. The epidemic was the mail. They came in and they cleaned out box after box after box. And we brought this to Mr. Troy Moore. What can we do? His hands were tied like our hands were tied. Go to the post office and stand in line with the hundreds of people that were there. Now that's what my question is. Security, having security drive around, and security for our mailboxes, which is that's federal there. Minor things like that. I didn't hear anything about security, which is maybe it's not on their top of their list. I don't know. Now, number two for me, I fall under the 62 club. I'm 60, I'm already past the 62 mark, and my Social Security comes in on the third week of the month. It can fall between the 15th and the 19th. So I get a 3-day, I get my notices, and then the final notice, which is the pay rent or quit. So when Mr. Moore sends those out, which that's part of his job, the next day or 2 days later, I walk in and I pay that additional money on top, which is the $40 a month, which I'm part of that. That's the way my Social Security fell. The third Wednesday of every month. But security is one of the biggest things. We have a lot of homeless that come into the park, and they try to make themselves at home. And the thing is that they break in, they steal from us, they take whatever they can take, and it's a very uncomfortable feeling. Thank you.
I just want to remind the members of the public, when you're speaking at the podium, to please speak into the mic so that we can pick up everything that you're stating. Thank you.
Is this on? Yes, it is. Sorry. I moved into London Spires because I wanted a retirement place for myself, which was owner-occupied, first issue. Now they're telling me in a meeting that we had in March that they are dictating we can have renters move in. That's not why I moved into London Spires. It was a closed community for owner-occupied only, 55 and older. So I am a little dismayed with the fact that they dictated the fact that they can put renters in now. Totally alien to what I joined this community for. So that was not addressed, and I don't know how they're gonna address that, and if they even will. So I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you for your attention.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Lavender. I moved into London Spires the same year that Inspire Communities took it over. At the time, I was married. We had 2 incomes. Unfortunately, I lost my husband at the end of that year. Yes, I do qualify for widow's benefits, but I do still work, and I have to in order to be able to afford everything. So I lose my widow's benefits. I lose my Social Security completely. I worry about some of our older members that live in the park because they are, just like Mary Boyer, living on very limited income. I have dealt with mobile home parks before in the past with my mother before she passed. Her mobile home park was bought by the same company before she passed, and she started seeing $50 a month, $60 a month increases. So it seems to be a trend with this company. But when they were doing their comparisons to other mobile home parks, they failed to tell you that just about every one of those other mobile home parks has a golf course, they have lakes, they have amenities that we don't have anything like that. We can't even get them to keep the maintenance up in our park. I wish I would have taken pictures of what it looks like on the side of my mobile. That's their obligation to maintain. So maybe the commission can take in consideration the difference between our park and the other ones they compared us to. Thank you.
Are there any more speakers?
Chair, I would like to add for the record that 29 written comments were submitted. We have them over here, but most, if not all of them, are only 1 copy. So we will scan those and we will transmit those to you via email. But there are 29 residents living in London Spires who have submitted comments as to how and why this rent proposal has affected them.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Tina, and I live in Space 69. I just want to say that, okay, they say that they're going to put a security gate, and that's never happened. They started doing the ground part to cut for the gates, and the gate never came up. We were told that there's no funds, there's no money. And there's people coming in off our streets to where cars are being broken into. My car has already been broken into. There's vandalism in the park. Like he said, he addressed about the mailboxes. The security gates would work, you know, because there's 3 entrances to and from the park. The main one is on Thornton Avenue, and we do need a gate because we've been into a couple of the other parks. They have gates. One park has a gate, but it's not working. But, you know, they just need to give us a break because there's, like you've been told, there's been more people in there that are on a fixed income, like myself. My husband died in 2019, and it's just me. and I'm struggling. I'm trying my best to do what I can to keep a roof over my head. You know, and I had wanting to move out, but I honestly and truly don't have nowhere to move. So that's my house I have to stay in. Thank you.
I'm sorry, can you come to the podium, please, so we can all hear? Sorry.
Hello, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of empty mobiles there, and so I understand they need to make a profit. But are they gonna raise our rent up so high that they get the money for, if the place was full? Now, I know, like, if we have like 20 empty mobiles, that their revenue would be higher than what is in there now. So I don't know how many people we have there, but I know there's a lot of empty ones, and I don't think it's fair that we have to make up the cost. You know, like, say they're gonna put the fence in, and it's gonna cost $20,000. Well, are they gonna raise our rent another $50 a month so that pays for the $20,000 to put the fence in, or the gate? And I guess all the residents didn't know from what Kathy was saying. I don't know about that, but I was just curious that, are we responsible for the empty mobiles to bring up the revenue? Because that's what it seems like.
I only have a few things to say very shortly. They brought in, I've been in this park for 23 years. A lot of stuff goes wrong with the big park, sure. Everything there is very old. And they're saying how much more it's costing them to get things done. Well, you buy an old car, you gotta put new tires on it once in a while. You gotta fix the water systems. They've had a lot of problems with the water systems. And it was almost $300 when I moved in. It was $2 something. And then the month I moved in December, and I paid December's rent. I get my next rent, and it was over $300. I complained, and then I found out, oh, it goes up about $20 a year. Well, $20 is not a big deal. But my Social Security in these 23 years, at times, right now, it went up 4%. When I first came here, it was down to like 3% or 2%, and it's up to 4%. Now they're saying they have overheads of 7% this and the garbage and whatever, but I'm sorry, they bought an old car.
Sir, could you please state your name for the record? Could you please state your name for the record, sir?
Pardon?
Could you please state your name for the recorded record?
Oh, Thomas Cooper,
Thank you,
space 150.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
My name is Chuck Harwick. I'm in Space 56 at London Spires. I had a couple concerns. We listened to a lot of talking this morning about expenses that they had since for the last 4 years, but we can't substantiate our costs for the last 4 years. It's forbidden just the last year. But one concern that I have is that I heard a manager this morning, I heard a regional manager. There's a man in between those two people that was initiated in the last 3 to 4 years, called some kind of a manager. We never had one before, but he's there now, and I'm sure that's a substantial expense, a lot more than my income on Social Security.
Are there any more public comments? Okay. I take that as no. Oh, there is. Never mind.
My name is Curtis Rains. I live at London Spires, 725 West Thornton, Space 142. I've been there for 10 years. When I first moved in there, my rent space was only $426. Since then, it's doubled. The thing of it is everyone that's there is on a fixed income. And these mobile home parks from the beginning was built for people on fixed incomes. Our raise every year for Social Security is like $36, $37, $38 at the most. It doesn't come up to what their rent raise is every year. It's like half of that. If they keep raising our rent, how do they expect us to stay in our homes to pay that rent with our income? That's, it won't be able to be done. I mean, the city now has a problem with homeless people. Do you want to add to that? So that's just what I wanted to bring forth. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And you guys are all free to deliberate, so we will go ahead and go from there. So,
I'm sorry, if we can reopen the public hearing and we'll close public comment. Okay, public hearing is open. Is there any other public comment? Is there anyone on Zoom or anyone?
No.
Okay. Okay, so before we proceed for, I believe it's deliberation is the next step, I just would like the commission to note that if the commission is not prepared to close the evidentiary record today, and that could be due to the information provided by the petitioners, by the exhibits provided by the attorney, and you want that time to review it because it's a pretty healthy amount of information, I would suggest to continue the hearing to a date certain. That way we don't close the hearing and restart the process all over again. It would just be continued, but we would have to have a date certain for that.
so I do go ahead and agree to continue this, so we all can sit down and equally look at all the evidence that has been presented to us today. Realistically speaking, can we announce a date at a later time to continue, or?
We would need to make that decision today on a date. And also, another reason is that if you were to close the hearing, it would trigger the 10-day response period. So I wanted to give some time for the commissioners to allow them a good time to review and make a thorough decision.
So we have, and we're saying we have the 10 days, correct?
That is to a response date with their findings, a written response for your decision. But a date certain can be 11 days out or whenever, or 5 days out. We can openly talk about the dates.
Sorry, I was just saying that I'm going to be out of state, so I'm not available next week until late Friday, so we're just trying to pick a date that kind of works for everybody.
So as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and declare that May 6th at 8 a.m. would be appropriate for, to go through the decisions and facts and findings.
So we have May 6, 2026 at 8 a.m., which
Yes.
is a Wednesday.
Yes.
Full disclosure, on that date, I will be out of state as well, but I'm certain we could find another staff person to preside over the hearing.
I can always jump on a Zoom if that's necessary. I can break away for a little bit if we need to reconvene at an earlier date to make sure that Deputy Director is available. I'll just have to do it via Zoom though.
Okay, I'm going to take this question. Yes? The evidentiary testimony would be, whatever is proposed today would be the end of it. We would just have the deliberations continued to that hearing date. So we wouldn't necessarily take in more evidentiary. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that, absolutely. Let's lock down a date. Is May 6th okay for you, though?
Yes, I could do May 6th.
Okay. So, Mr. Pencost, would you like to take the podium? I'll make a formal thing to let him talk first.
Thank you, Honorable Commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to give some further information. One of the things is that I keep hearing that the park was run by a family. Well, that's not the case. It was run by Tower Management, which was a company, owned many, many parks across the United States. And relative to one of the comments relative to the potential lower rents in earlier years, one pre-pandemic, obviously, but also they didn't they had owned the park for a long time. That company had owned the park for a long time, so obviously the property tax was low, no loan against the park, and things along that nature. So their costs cannot be, something that can be compared to the cost of Inspire Communities when it purchased the park. The next, talking about getting loans, I heard one of the gentlemen talk about that he bought into the park. It was, I didn't get his last name, but his first name was Leonard Colson. The loan that the park received is from Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac, and Freddie Mac has tenant protections, numerous tenant protections. One is that even if they're evicted, they have 45 days to cure after that eviction. Another one is that they all have the right to sublease. So that is government required under the loan provisions. There's several of them, I think. So we had to amend all the rules and regulations and the rental agreements. You know, that's something, you know, appreciative that, you know, loans are hard to get, and so we go to the government, and the government, while Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae are private, but they're under the umbrella of the government, and so they have these requirements that we must fulfill, and so that's, you know, we don't do that just out of the reason that we have to allow subleasing is because of the requirements of the loan as mandated by the government's wholly owned lenders. Mr. Garland, can you talk about or maybe Mr. Moore, talk about the vacant homes? Are there 20 vacant homes in the park?
There's 11. We have 11, and those, you know, some are new, some are used that we brought in, just to try to, you know, up the occupancy. Sorry about that. 11 total, some are used, some are new. I think 6 and 5 is the breakdown of those two. Again, just to try to help with occupancy, and to answer the question, it doesn't come off the expense line that we've been talking about. There's a whole nother pocket for that from ownership, so it's not anything that we've really discussed here today financially.
There was another question about, was any portion of the solar that was installed by the park, was that funded or is that charged through to the tenants in any kind of pass-through or anything?
Solar was put in prior to my time, but I do not believe so. We have not passed through any CapEx expenses to residents.
In fact, we can't because, you know, I don't think our rental agreements allow that. Also, do you want to speak upon the new position from one of the, who's the new person at the park or comes into the park that one of the tenants was talking about?
Absolutely. About a year ago, we brought on a general manager to kind of help oversee, because we have 3 parks here in the city, actually 2 in the city, 1 just outside city lines. But just every office used to have 2 people in it. Now every office has 1 person in it and a general manager that helps oversee it. So from a total number of bodies, we're actually shorter than what we were before, but we just brought in somebody more, help push us to the next level and get things done.
And with regard to the gentleman that has the Social Security that comes in on the 3rd week, perhaps he could come talk with Mr. Moore regarding, you know, the specifics of that, and maybe an accommodation could be provided on that. Oh, yeah, the gates. What's been the problem with the gates, Mr. Garland?
Yeah, so we were trying to put a gate into the front drive there off Thornton. And then we purchased material. We went through city inspections and then re-inspections. And then it came to a point where the sidewalks that are coming in had to be widened. and the cost was falling on us to do so. And how far they wanted us to go back almost doubled the project cost, and that was not something that we could uphold at that time.
Also, there was some question about new homes coming in, if any of the residents, if they're bearing the cost of those new homes that are coming in. Could you answer that, Mr. Garland, please?
Yeah, those costs are not passed through. I mean, those costs come through a whole different section of our company. Similar to CapEx, right? That's a different bucket of money.
Thank you very much. Also, I wanted to make sure the record will include our digital copies of the exhibits.
Yes, they will.
Thank you again.
Actually, real quick, sorry, I have a question for you. So going through the evidence that I have already gone through, the pictures, in a legal standpoint, these pictures, just in recommendations from evidence, they're not time-stamped or documented as time-stamped of anything. Just for, future references, it would be more appropriate to have that, especially when fighting an argument or rebuttal or anything like that.
Understood. Mr. Moore, when were those pictures taken?
Oh, the pictures were taken within this last year.
Now, due to the, when I came on and the shortness of time, that's, I wanted to make sure there was some pictures. If you want to, we can provide new pictures and supplement the record and along those lines, if you would allow us to do that.
Yes, that would be very appropriate to go ahead and submit new pictures with the appropriate timestamps of
We
today's
will
date.
make sure they're time-stamped, date and time-stamped, and they'll be in color. All right?
I do. I actually got a quick question. Solar's been brought up quite a few times here. So when was the solar installed?
Solar was installed 5 years ago.
Okay, and was it just put in for tax credit purposes only, or is it to help the citizens out inside the park for their electric bills, or what was the scope of the project?
The project was to offset the cost of the utilities for the clubhouse, to keep the clubhouse running, and the pool and the spa, it's to offset those.
So the features basically inside the community?
Right.
Not directly tied into the homes to help the electricity? Okay.
Not tied into the homes.
Okay, and did they receive any type of cost from that, or was?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of.
No?
It was before my time, but not
Okay.
that I know that we have. Was that with Tower or Inspire?
That was with Tower.
So it's the
Okay.
previous company.
All right, gotcha, thank you.
I do have one more question. Sorry for the last minute, but for your guys' security, what company and how long has this company been working with you guys?
Which company, what?
The security that drives around?
It's, yeah, it was Southwest Security, and now it changed their name to Public.
Okay.
Yeah, Public Security. They come through twice a night and drive the park, and we have them lock up all the amenities at night.
Okay. And say, do they, are they a Monday through Friday, like every day kind of concept?
Every day of the week, 7
Okay.
days a week.
And do you have two on the premises, or do you just have the one, out of curiosity? Just the one? And then I didn't hear you say, I apologize if you already said it, but how long has this company been with you, even with the transition of company?
They've been with us a good 5-6 years.
Okay, no further questions, thank you.
Thank you. I have two questions. Main question is, you decided to go with Fannie Mae for underwriting for the loan, correct? You also mentioned that this is market rate. What made you decide to go with Fannie Mae as opposed to a traditional product? Because isn't Fannie Mae amortized over 35 or 40 years with insurance?
I don't want to answer something that's
Okay,
up towards the high end of my corporate office.
no problem. Your attorney made a point of interest, so I'll just ask that question. My last and final question, to the respect of the board and everyone else's time. We did talk about the gentleman who, one of the tenants, who received his Social Security on the third week of every single month. I would like to see an audit through the rent roll if possible, who else is going through those same situations. And, because my rent roll is not gonna show that, right? I don't think our board has the opportunity to see that as well. But it is a little concerning to me to hear a resident mention the fact that they've received Social Security on the third week of the month, and then they're still required to pay a late fee. And they're okay with that. So I'm just trying to understand the business model behind that, the understanding behind that. And has that been communicated from the resident to you guys, and how are you guys looking to rectify that? Just high level.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time that I've heard about that, and we will definitely do a reasonable accommodation for that gentleman. And so we'll make sure about that. As far as when they get their rent checks, when they get their Social Security checks, we don't track that, we can't track that, we wouldn't track that.
No, I'm not asking for you to necessarily track that. I'm sure that with the amount of residents that showed up today, that may be a repeat pattern that's happened over 20 years or so, right? So in your underwriting, my question is, have you guys been able to flag that early enough, ask questions to your tenants prior to seeing that? Because it seems like this is news for everyone that he's going the third week of receiving his Social Security payment. He pays the additional late fee, but how are we the only ones that are noticing that today, I guess is my question.
Never been brought up before. Also, I don't believe that we could, under the presence of the laws, ask those kind of questions.
Sure.
So, it would be something that if, again, we operate as a equal opportunity housing.
Sure.
And anytime anybody brings a reasonable accommodation request, anything is reviewed and responded to in a timely manner in written form. So anybody that wants to bring a reasonable accommodation request, we'll definitely take a look at it.
Okay.
And look at what they provide to us, and then we can respond to that for sure.
Totally fair. Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. So that being said,
I believe we might have one more speaker.
do we have, okay.
Hi, Leonard Colson again. Could I ask the management to address the fact that we're told about renters coming in when before I signed and came to the park, there was no talk of subleasing in my contract or anything. Can that be addressed? Because it's just baffling me that all of a sudden now we can rent our places out. Why is that?
Thank you. That's a little bit beyond what we're discussing here today because we're sticking to the rent issue.
Okay.
But I'm sure that they've notated that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Vicki Kitchen. All of the information that the attorney has provided electronically, will any of us be able to see that information also? Can we request that?
You can request that, and our city staff will reach out.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have any more speakers? Okay, now I'm going to address the commission. in regards to the deliberation that we were discussing. Did you want me to review that again, or do we have an idea? I believe it was May 6th, 2026. Does that work with everyone?
Yes, I'm good with May 6th. All good.
You're okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and, so based on that the commission needs time to review all the evidence provided during this hearing and is not prepared to close the hearing at this time, the hearing is hereby continued to 8 a.m. at May 6th, on May 6th, 2026 at City Council Chambers for the sole purpose of allowing the commission to complete its review of the existing record. The evidentiary record and argument phase of this hearing are complete. No additional evidence, testimony, rebuttal will be accepted at the continued session. The 10-day decision period will not begin until the hearing is formally closed at the continued session. Thank you.
And then,
You can gavel and close the meeting and note the time.
all right, this is concluding our meeting. Thank you guys for attending, and we'll see you back May 6th. Thank you.
And it is 11:07 a.m., April 22nd. Thank you.